here is something your body does without ever asking permission. A gust of cold air slips through an open window, or a piece of music swells at just the right moment, and a wave of feeling rolls through you. In that instant, without you deciding anything, your skin changes. Tiny bumps rise all across your arms, and the little hairs lift and stand on end. We call them goosebumps, and almost everyone gets them. But have you ever stopped to ask what they actually are, or why your body bothers to make them? The answer reaches back long before there were any humans at all. First, the bumps themselves have a name. Doctors call this reaction horripilation, but you can just call it goosebumps. And here's the key part to hold on to. This is not something you choose to do. You cannot decide to make goosebumps the way you decide to lift your hand. It is an automatic reflex, switched on quietly in the background. And it is also very old, built long before us, and it makes far more sense on a furry animal than it ever does on you and me. So to understand it, we have to start small, right down at the base of a single hair. Look closely at any hair on your body, and follow it down into the skin. At the root of each one sits a tiny muscle. It has a wonderful name, the erector pili muscle. Most of the time it is relaxed, and the hair lies flat. But when that little muscle tightens, it tugs the base of the hair and pulls it upright. And because the muscle pinches the skin as it pulls, the surface around the hair puffs into a small bump. Multiply that by the thousands of hairs on your arm, all standing at once, and you get that familiar bumpy skin. That is all a goosebump really is, one tiny muscle doing its job. But what tells all those tiny muscles to tighten at the very same moment? You don't, not on purpose. The order comes from the sympathetic nervous system, the sane, fast, automatic system behind fight or flight. When you feel a sudden chill, a jolt of fear, or a rush of emotion, this system fires. It releases a hormone called adrenaline, the same chemical that makes your heart race when frightened. Adrenaline floods the body and reaches those little erector pili muscles, telling each one to contract. The hairs spring upright together, and the bumps appear, all in a heartbeat, faster than any thought, which is why goosebumps feel like they come from nowhere. Now, for the real question, why would the body bother doing this at all? The answer becomes clear the moment you picture a furry animal instead of a person. In a creature covered in thick fur, raising all that hair is genuinely useful. When the fur stands up, it traps a layer of warm air against the skin, like an extra blanket, better insulation against the cold. And there is a second trick. A frightened animal that puffs up its fur suddenly looks bigger and more dangerous. Think of a startled cat, its tail swelling to twice its size, or the raised hackles on a scared dog's back. Same reflex, real work. So, if it warms a furry animal and makes it look fierce, why does it do so little for us? Because along the way, our ancestors lost most of their thick body hair. We kept the wiring, the tiny muscles, the nerves, the adrenaline, but lost the thick coat that made it worthwhile. When your faint arm hairs stand up, they trap almost no warmth, and they don't make you look any bigger. This is what scientists call a vestigial reflex, a leftover from an earlier, furrier version of us, still faithfully running even though the fur it was built for is long gone. Goosebumps are, quite literally, an echo of our animal past. But here's where the story turns, and gets genuinely surprising. You might think a leftover reflex would be useless baggage. Yet in 2020, researchers at Harvard, writing in the journal Cell, found that this old system may not be idle after all. They discovered that the very nerve and muscle that give us goosebumps are also wired directly to the stem cells of the hair follicle, the cells that grow new hair. The same nerve that reacts to cold with a quick goosebump also sends a slow, long-term signal nudging the follicle to grow fresh hair. So this so-called useless reflex may quietly be helping regrow the very hair we thought we'd left behind. So there's the answer to a question hiding right on the surface of your own skin. Goosebumps are tiny muscles pulling your hairs upright, fired off automatically by adrenaline and the fight or flight nervous system. In a furry animal, it traps warmth and looks fierce. In us, having lost the fur, it is mostly a gentle leftover from a wilder past, though it may still be quietly tied to growing new hair. So next time the chills run down your spine from a cold breeze or a song that moves you, you'll know your body is replaying something ancient. Thank you for being curious with me today. And take care.